Ayanna Pressley dunked on Betsy DeVos, and it was absolutely amazing. Where did it all start? Well, Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, decided of all the things she could compare a woman's right to choose to, she would go with slavery. Let me show you how that went down. According to a Colorado Times Recorder report, she said Lincoln too contended with the pro-choice arguments of his day. They suggested that a state's choice to be a slave or to be free had no moral question in it. Well, President Lincoln reminded those pro-choicers that that is a vast portion of the American people that do not look upon that matter as being this very little thing. They look upon it as a vast moral evil. Lincoln was right about the slavery choice then, and he would be right about the life choice today, because as it's been said, freedom is not about doing what we want. Freedom is about having the right to do what we ought.
And many Americans ought not to be parents.
And ought not to be obligated to be parents in situations outside of their control and outside of our ability to understand how horrible the world can be sometimes.
Yeah,
true.
So she went in like that, and she decided to compare it to slavery. And Ayanna hit back devastatingly. Dear Betsy, as a black woman and the chair of the Abortion Access Task Force, I invite you to come to the Hill and say this to my face. Would welcome the opportunity to educate you. Regards, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
Oh.
I mean, geez.
Wow.
Wait, so she
obviously took her up on this, and
she talked to her?
No, she hasn't talked to her. Not the last I checked.
Betsy DeVos has had a pretty sweet, easy ride over the past few years. She got to come in, and she's working every day behind the scenes. We check it every once in a while, but she just keeps doing it, shredding our education system to whatever extent she's able to. And not just now, but locking in awfulness so that theoretically, if in the future we want to like cancel, student loans, she's trying to make that impossible to happen, even under a different president. She has been horrible and terrible in the economic suffering she has ensured for countless Americans going forward. What is she doing? This has nothing to do, yes, she's a woman. She's allowed to talk about whatever she wants to do. But considering how much she's been allowed to get away with, when so many people in the Trump administration have been cast off as a result of scandals of which she should have had many at this point, she again has been able to get away with it. I just think it's amazing that insult to injury, she can spit in our face after.
Right, she can't stay in her own horrible lane, is what you're saying.
Right,
yeah.
Just do devastating things to education. At least I know where to send the fire department when you're burning down people's futures.
Yeah.
But in this situation, she is locking in devastation. Ayanna went on saying the rhetoric and policies of anti-choice zealots like DeVos put the lives and bodily autonomy of far too many people at risk. That's why we need to pass the EACH, which is the Equal Access to Abortion Coverage and Health Insurance, and repeal Hyde/Take Action. If you're wondering what that is, either of those things, the Hyde Amendment is a measure that effectively bans federal funding through Medicare for abortion, except in cases of life-threatening complications, rape, or incest. Each is viewed by many, including its original sponsor, Representative Barbara Lee, as an intentional effort to overturn Hyde. Yeah.
I mean, thank you. Thanks. I'm so happy that we have someone like Ayanna Pressley in Congress with that clout behind her, with the ability to just call the BS like she sees it. But I didn't know that apparently comparing being pro-choice to being pro-slavery is actually a thing that the anti-choice, as I like to call it, movement does a lot. And it's just you know that your movement is indefensible when the only thing you can go to is slavery, right. Or your only reference is it's like the Holocaust, or it's the worst thing you can imagine. And on top of that, not only is it just completely indefensible, it's belittling the experience of slavery and also not understanding that what slavery meant for many enslaved black women was that they were forced to have the children of their owners, right? Who then were born into slavery themselves, their children. So they didn't have reproductive freedom back when they were enslaved. The amount of offensive-ness, the 7-day dip and lip
That's one of the
of
layers.
offensiveness is one of the layers.
Exactly.
Like it's just I can't.
Yeah.
It's good to have fighters. I'll stick on that side. Like, and also the fact that
Thanks, John.
well, but I also meant Ayanna Pressley. Sorry, no offense to you, but I meant Ayanna Pressley. That she's not like there had been for so long. You had a multi-decade campaign on the right to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and then you had people who technically supported reproductive rights, but wanted to be really quiet about it. And let's not go too far. And sure, the government should still regulate it and limit it in a whole bunch of different ways. And it's good to have some people who are like, no, this is an actual right, and when I say right, I mean a right, and we're gonna treat it as a right, and we're gonna fight to make sure that it's a right.
Yeah.
And that fight to repeal Roe v. Wade is still continuing, and they're just biding their time, I guess, for one more Supreme Court justice or the right case to work its way up to the top. So it is good that, especially at this time, this critical moment, we have people like Ayanna Pressley that are not going to, they're not going to sort of like try to hide what they really believe. They don't want to offend anyone when people's lives are literally on the line.
Yeah.
You can't afford to have those sorts of people as your defenders.
It's just like the overlap too, just regionally in terms of the people that are supported slavery and are opposing women's choice.
Yeah.
Just regionally the overlap is a little suspect when you're talking about the moral obligation to do it.
TYT is all about challenging and disrupting the status quo, and so is Aspiration. Aspiration does not invest your money into fossil fuel businesses that harm our planet, such as pipelines and oil drilling. Instead, you'll be able to fight climate change with tools like AIM, the Aspiration Impact Measurement, and Planet Protection. They also don't hit you with outrageous fees for you to access your own money. You can even earn cash back and get free ATM uses up to 5 times a month. Head to aspiration.com/TYT to learn more. For a limited time, get 30 days of free TYT membership when you sign up.